part 2 of the Librarians webinar. This is going to be a hands-on introduction, so I will give you some instructions and then I'll be sharing about my desktop, and you will be expected to be doing some of the typing and running the things on your computer during this webinar. So we'll give it a shot, but I think it will be very good experience for you actually to try something on your own during this time, and I'll be here to answer any questions, to troubleshoot, and hopefully this will kind of like, you know, pare down some of the barriers that many people experience when they take the webinar, sounds really good, and then they try themselves and then it doesn't work, and then people get frustrated. So I wanted to try things on our own together today, so that's why we are going to do it this way. So let's move on to the second slide first. So I asked everyone to feel free to type into the chat window anytime during this webinar. So what do you exactly want to be able to do once you learn how to code? So if you have a particular goal, please feel free to put that into the chat window so I have an idea of what you are looking for, so that I can give you more pointers during the webinar. So I would love to hear from you if you had any thoughts, or if you have any previous experience or problems that you encountered, you know, things like that. So feel free to enter that into the chat window and I will be looking at that. That having been said, I will move on to the next slide that I have. So we are actually going to take a look at JavaScript a little bit. So many of you would know what JavaScript is. JavaScript is a cross-platform object-oriented scripting language. So what that means is it's a mouthful, but basically it's a cross-platform, means whether you have a Windows PC or a MacBook or a Linux computer, it will run no matter what platform you have on your PC. It's also object-oriented, which I can explain later on, but don't worry about it right now whether it's object-oriented or not. It's a scripting language, means that meaning that it was originally created to write small scripts compared to huge full-blown programs. And that's why it's one of the most popular scripting languages. It's very small, it's lightweight, it runs on a web browser. So that's one of the reasons why I picked JavaScript for us to take a look at it today, because you need just a text editor and web browser, and that's all you need in order to try it out and see how it works. So it's a very good beginner language. It has some, you know, downside as well as the upside, but it's definitely very popular language because it is sort of like a de facto default scripting language for the web. So I have already said that JavaScript is a default scripting language for the web. It runs in a browser. It requires very minimal development environment setup. So that's what we're going to try it out today. You need a computer with access to the internet, which you already have. You need a web browser, either Firefox or Chrome, and you are going to be open up a web console, and you are going to do it this way. And right now you should all try to do this. So we are going to open up our web browser. Chrome or Firefox will do it. And in Chrome or Firefox, try to press function 12 key and see if that brings up the browser console like this. So this is Firefox web console, and it should look like this, the way you're looking at it right now on my slide. I'm going to look at my chat window. If you have any questions, let me know. But basically, you open up a Firefox, try to press F12 key to see if this shows up here, and you want to select the tab named console right there to see if it shows up like this. Then you're good to go. Now, if you have a Chrome or if you have a Firebug, you should open up a Firebug icon on the right-hand side on the menu bar, and you should see something like this, and you want to select the console. So either you use just built-in web console for Firefox, or you want to use Firebug add-on. Either one will do. And if you have Chrome, you want to open up the DevTools. You can select this DevTools by going to this like icon menu on the top menu bar where there are a lot of bars in there. You click that and then you select the DevTools. So see if you can bring up the DevTools like this, and you want to go to the console, and you should see the window like this. So let me know how you're doing, because otherwise I wouldn't know whether everybody's ready to move on. So when you get here, let me know if you're good to go.
And everyone, this is Joe again. I'll just interject that we are recording this session, so if for whatever reason you're having trouble, you don't have the right browser, it's not working for you, this will be recorded up on the Rails CE Archives page later in the week, so you can always go back and be able to play with this a little more if it's for whatever reason not working for you at the moment.
Okay. So I see some questions that came in that you guys gave me the feedback about like what you want to do after you learned how to code. So thanks for that. Yeah, so this is really interesting. You'd like to be able to add some extra function to our public library catalog or calendar, but you've never coded before, so that would be great. Yeah, we can get it started. I want to be able to update a game that I have made with a little Java. And I have tried to teach myself Java and failed. Yes, it takes a lot of tries, so it's totally normal that, you know, a couple times we fail. Okay, and let me see. Oops. Function, okay. Some of you want to show children just enough that they feel empowered and inspired to learn more, which is all very good. Okay, excellent. So thanks for that. I'm not getting any feedback from you guys in the chat window whether you are all able to see the web console. So are we okay to move on? Everybody's seeing the web console on their Firefox or Chrome?
Yeah, I'm just starting to see everyone say that they're good to go.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, okay. All right, so I will move on. And if you have any questions, again, just feel free to type it into the chat window and select the entire audience too. Otherwise, I won't be able to see it. Okay, so great. So let's move on, assuming that you have all of this window. Now what I want to do is I want you to type in this into the console. So there should be a prompt in the web console where you can type in stuff. So I want you to type in this exactly the way it is notated. Var stands for variable, a equals to re mi fa, and then var length, a dot length, and then it's a for loop. So if you are actually writing the code, this will be something like what you write. So I want you to actually try to type this entire thing in and hit the enter to see if you get the result back. And it should be something that makes sense to you. Just try it out. And again, when you're done, let me know or let Joe know so that we can move on. But I want you to be able to get a JavaScript code, and you want to be able to enter it into the console that you are seeing, and then you actually want to see it running and get the results. So that is the purpose of this exercise. Is everyone getting the result? If everybody got this line, I can show you what it looks like in the next slide, but I'm just waiting to hear. If you're using the web console that is built in Firefox or Chrome, when you just hit enter, it will run and give you the results right away. If you're using the Firebug add-on and you're using the console in there, after you type in this, you will have to hit run on the top menu bar to see the result.
So Boyan, I don't know if you saw the comment, is one person got a syntax error and was wondering how to go back to change to make like a change.
Okay, yeah, you will just have to, if you find out that there was an error, so syntax error means if there was like a dot instead of comma, or you forgot the semicolon, or you had a typo, you can just copy and paste it back and then just change it. So I can actually show you how to do that. So the result should look like this. As you can see on the top, this is a Firebug. So you type in a oops, sorry about that. Type in up there, and you can just go back and change it. You can copy and paste it and then fix that, and then hit the run over there if you're using the Firebug. If you are using the console, you just type in here. I hope everybody can see how it works, and then you just enter it. So let me know if that cleans up and you get the result, which is each item in the array. So you should look should see something like this. And if you guys think it would be more helpful for me to actually do it on the desktop and share that with you, I can do that. I just wasn't sure whether that might be too confusing while you are trying yourself. So let me know if you have any preference. We can do whatever that makes better sense for you.
Well, I'm seeing a few votes for us to watch you do it, at least for some that may be at a, so that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so hold on, let me end the PowerPoint show, and I can totally do that for you. Okay, great. So you can all see my screen right now. That is Chrome. Yes?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the development tools. I have this control panel in the middle of it, so like I have to move things. But okay, so I am going to select the development tools here, and it will show me the console, right? So I'm going to pop it out. Okay, it won't pop up. Okay, never mind. But I'm going to clean it up by pressing this little thing, and don't worry about this left-hand side. Okay, so maybe I should actually open this up in an empty window. That might do better. Okay, so I'm going to open up the Chrome development tools, which you see here. I'm going to clean it up so that I have a clean slate. And let me see what the code was that I put up, because I can see them at the same time. Here you go. So I want to declare a variable first, which is bar is sort of like declaring that I want a new variable, and its name is going to be A, right? And then I say that variable has this stuff in there. Even though you don't understand that right now, don't worry about it, because it will make sense right now later. So it has the first item though, second item red, third item me, fourth item Bob, right? And then after everything, every line you do like this, you have to always put the semicolon. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger for you, okay? And then I hit enter, right? So now I have a variable A, and then I'm gonna select now your new variable called len, L-E-N. I'm gonna name it that way. It's just the way it is. You can call it whatever you want. And then I'm gonna say a.length. I will explain all of this later, but we just want to run the script, and I type it in. So I'm typing in line by line. You can type the entire thing, or you can type it one by one. It doesn't matter as long as you separate them with a semicolon. And then I'm going to the last bit, which is a for loop. So I'm going to put for, and then I'm going to declare a variable I equals 0. And then I want the I to go as big as length. And then I want it to self-increment. And then I'm going to press Shift-Enter to change the line without executing the line. And then I want it to type the stuff in here. And I'm going to explain this later, so don't worry about it. Right now I'm just typing in. So I type this, and I'm making sure that I'm not making any mistake. So for example, if I forget the semicolon here, it's going to give me an error. So let's try that to see. It might be actually forgiving, and it might just run it as well. But okay, so it's forgiving, so it's actually giving me the result. But if it is a better practice to put semicolon at the end, because in the real program, not in the console, you will not get the result. So here you go. So now this is how it works. So did everybody get the result like this? This is what it's like to run a JavaScript. So if you ever have a JavaScript and you want to see if it actually works, this is what you're going to do. So it's the interactive console, so you can type in things here and see how it goes. So let's go back to my PowerPoint and move on to the next part. So I think you guys actually like me doing it in front of you. Maybe that will be more helpful. So maybe we'll just switch back and forth. So I'm not going to then go to the presentation mode because it just throws things off. So I'm going to just do it this way. Hopefully you can still see enough of the slide. Yes. So we have run a JavaScript like this. So we had now experienced typing in something and actually getting something back. Right? So now I'm going into the bits of programming a little more, and I will explain some basic concepts of programming. So you remember that I used the var in order to declare a variable. So variable is like, you know, a placeholder. So you are giving a name to it. So now I want you to open up the, let's see, console again. You should be seeing this, and I want you to try different variables, making different variables in here. So why don't we try first var a equals, we had a variable a which had different stuff in there, but you can put whatever you want. So I can create a variable called a, and okay, so let's change that. Let's create a variable called, let me clean this up. So create a variable named dog equals, and then my dog's name is Harry. Put that, and then put the semicolon, and then I hit it, and don't worry about that undefined error. And now you have a variable whose name is dog and its value is Harry. So if you type in dog, it will get you the content in the variable, which is Harry. Is everybody able to do this? So if this makes sense, what I would like you to do is try these different things. So the console that you are in will interact with you, so you can do various things. So for example, you can run mathematical formula. So you can add two numbers like 4 plus 10. You can multiply things. You can save the value into a variable. So for example, here in the third line, I am actually dividing 24 by 4. And then I am saving that value into a variable named a, right? So once you do that, you will get 6 as a result, right? And the next one is a command to the console. So you are saying that console, give me the value that is inside a. So if you are a console, you will type a and you will get the value out, but you can also do by typing the command console.log and then parentheses, put a in there, right? And if you do that, it will give you the value, which is also 6. You can also put a string instead of a number into the variable like I did with Harry, right? So you can create a variable named B with the value Catherine, right? And if you type B or console.log B, then you will get Catherine back, right? So these are some of the things that I would like you to try, and I will also do this here with you so that you can kind of see what it looks like, but I want you to actually spend the time doing this yourself. So I'm at the console. I'm going to clean this up. The first one that I did was 4 plus 10. I get 14, right? 2 multiplied by 5 equals 10. Okay, no big deal. It's like easy peasy. Now I want to save the result of dividing 24 by 4 into variable A. So I do this, and now I want to know what the value is. I type A, I get the result 6, right? I want to see the value of variable A. I can either type A or put console.log and then put the variable name A, type. You get 6 again, right? I want to create a variable that has a string in it instead of a number. I'm going to put Catherine in there. Now, the variable named B holds the value Catherine, right? Now, I want to put variable A, which is 6, together with variable B. And if I want to do that, I can say A plus B. Now, what's going to happen? If I do that, I get something like this, 6 Catherine, because Catherine is not a number, so they just put it together as if it's a string. So that's what it is doing. Is everyone following me so far and understand basically what variable means and how it is created and how you can assign a value? Does this make sense?
Looks like mostly yeses, Boolean.
Okay.
It does seem to help to have people maybe play around but also watch you do it. I think that works well.
Okay, great. Okay, so I will continue to demo it if that works better. I couldn't figure it out whether it's better for you guys to do it or want me to demo it, but okay, so I will demo it from now on all the time, and you guys can try it yourselves, but at least you know that this is how it's going to work. So we are good with variables so far, not that difficult, right? And there are more hands-on exercises that are available online, so I put it here. But of course, we don't have time to actually go through all of these together, so I just left a link, and I want you to actually go ahead and try to do all of these after this workshop. But we will move on because now we kind of got a basic understanding of what variables is, right? So now we're going to move into data types. So there are a number of data types. So I mentioned that you can have a variable that holds a number in it. You can have a variable that holds a string information in it, right? So the example that I had was, as you are seeing here, the variable that has a number in it was 3, right? So if you have a number, let me actually bring up my console again so that I can show it to you. So I clear up. So I'm trying to remember my variable A was 6, right? So I now know what it is. What type of variable is it? Is a number. In order to figure that out, I know I'm not an idiot. I see 6, so it's a number. But if I want to be really sure of it, type of A. This is a way to find out what type of variable is it. It will tell me it's a number, so I know. Now, what if I do create another variable X, and I actually put a quotation mark around that, and I put 6? Well, let me do this first, 6, right? Now, what is that? X value is 6. If I try to find out what is the type of this variable X, it will say it's a string, right? Okay, that makes sense. 6 is a number, and 6 written in letters is a string. But what if I say variable Y equals 6? I put a number, but then I put a quotation around that. So you see that the difference between this and the let me see, variable A. Right now, if I do this, now I want to know what is the value of variable Y. It gives me 6, but now it has a quotation mark around that. So if I want to figure out what is type of the variable Y, it's a string. So you see the difference. Even if you have a number and then if you put a quotation around, JavaScript will count it as a string, not a number. Right? So there are two data types that we have seen so far. One is a number and the other one is a string. Okay, so we covered that. There are also other data types like array, object, and Boolean. I'm not going to explain object right now, but I am going to explain array. So let's go back to my console and let's see what array is. So remember the first script that you typed in and ran that had things like this, I think, var, try to remember, a equals, I think it was something like this, to, yeah, there you go. So I think it was something like this, right? And this is a variable whose type is an array. But if I do this type of, it's going to actually tell me object because array is a type of object in JavaScript. It's a little confusing, but it's not just any object, it's an array object. So in order to find that out, what I can do is array is array, and then I ask, is A really an array? Which is A is a variable name, it will tell me true. So you know that this is an object, but it's an array object. So this is another data type called array. You can understand the array, such as A, as a collection of items in it. So this array has 1, 2, 3, 4 items in it. And the first item is do, second item is red, third item is me, fourth item is pa. So now we know we have the third type of data type, which is array. So we know that there are data type number, there are data type string, there are data type array. We're not going to talk about object this time. There is also a type called Boolean. So if you look at it here, I am declaring a variable b and then assigning the value as true. And I'm not putting a quotation mark around that. So it's just a Boolean value true. And the result would be that this b means true. And if you look at the type, it's going to say it's a Boolean variable. So if I go back to my console and I'm going to try var g equals, I'm going to give false as a value. Now I want to type of that variable g says Boolean, right? Now what if I do var v equals, and then I actually put like quotation marks around false, and then I type in here, what do you think the type of this variable v would be? Can anyone guess? Would it be also Boolean, or would it be something else? Let's try it out. What would that be? Type of v, you will say it's a string, because anything that has a quotation mark around counts as a string. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, looks like several people got that right, so far so good.
Okay, excellent. So it's kind of weird for me to be talking, not knowing how you guys are doing, but I'm doing my best. So if you have any feedback, please let me or Joe know so that I know where you guys are going. So data types are like this, and there are more explanations, more detailed explanations online. So I have a link here, but that's the basic gist of it. So we have covered the variables and we have covered the types. So you know that how to make a variable and how to, tell whether a certain variable is the data type of string or a number or a Boolean or array, right? So we are good up to that point. Now we are going to cover some functions, right? So function is going to be also a very interesting thing. So when I was explaining in the morning what's the difference between markup language and programming language, I said the markup language often just marks up the content. So you will basically display the same content, and then you will just specify how it is presented. So it's more about a look and feel, not necessarily manipulating the data or the content. Function actually manipulates the data or whatever the input. So remember the box image that I showed you, that there was this box and you put the input from the top and then there's a function inside, and then the function will do something to the input and then you will get the output after, the function, processes the input. So that's basically what function does in very crude terms. So this is an example of function that you are looking at right now. So this function, so in JavaScript, in order to declare a function, you type function first. So function. And then you have to give it a name, right? Just as you create a variable, and then you call the variable a equals, and then you give value, which is like Harry or whatever you got, Catherine. So here I'm calling my function as my function. Not very unique or original, but that will do it. And then I say, so here are a couple of functions. I'm going to actually demo it for you so that you can kind of have an idea. So let me clean this up. I'm going to create a function. So this says I want to create a function. And then I say I want to create a function named my function. I'm going to just type f. It doesn't have to be my function. I'm just going to call it my f. And I'm going to put these parentheses because that's where my parameters are going to go. So this is an input. This is a place where the input goes into the function. I don't want any input right now, so I'm going to just leave it empty. And then I'm going to put open up a curly brace. And then I'm going to go inside. And I'm going to say when I run this function, I want it to do basically type in to my console, hello world. This is what I want my function to do, right? And then I will run it. Now I have a function, and its name is myf. So how do I call this function once I create it? I just call it like this, and it doesn't take any parameter, so I just run it like this, and you have to always put semicolon at the end to call it. Now what does it do? Hello world. So that's great. So this is a function that I created. It's not that difficult, right? You declare a function, you give it a name, and then you want to put something in there. So we already covered what console.log does. So you put whatever in there, we'll just spit it right back to you in the console. So now let's make it a little more dynamic. So what if I want the function to have a parameter, which is the input that goes into the function? So I want to say, I want to change my function. So now I'm going to make a better function. Oops, sorry about that. Function myf function. And this time I'm going to take some input. So whatever that goes into it, I can call it x, I can call it y, I can call it g, I can call it whatever I want. I'm going to call person in here because I'm going to put the person in there. And then I'm going to say, I want it to say in the console, hello. And then I'm going to actually put that together, stitch it together. And then I'm going to put the value of the person that is going to be the input into this function. And then I'm going to add exclamation mark. Oops. And then I'm going to put semicolon at the end. This is my new function, right? And now if I try to run it, function like this, it says hello undefined, which is not what I want, right? So what happened? When I had my function myf and I ran it like this, it worked fine. So there I got it without any problem, but now I'm getting this hello undefined. What happened is because I did not give the parameter, which was specified in my function definition, because I didn't leave it empty. So in that case, it's complaining because I did not fill out the parameter. So I'm going to fill out the parameter in there, say Catherine. I'm going to run it. This time it's working correctly. It says hello Catherine. This is what I wanted, hello, and then take the input person in there and then put the exclamation mark. So this is how function works. Another way to create a function, you can set up an alert out and you can have it pop it out on the window. So I can show you that as well. So function, and I'm going to create a function called pop, whatever it is. And then I'm going to say message. It's going to be my argument. And then, let's see, I can do something like this, alert, and then I want the message to pop out. So you will see what this means once I run it. So I have a function like this. Okay, let's see, unexpected identifier. Oh, okay, so there was something wrong in it. My function, maybe that was not how it was supposed to be. Maybe the name was wrong. Okay, let me just show you.
Looks like function misspelled.
Oh, that's a really good point. Thanks, Joe. See, so
well,
like this is what.
Our audience caught it, so they're paying attention. That's good.
You're really doing great. So if you see something like this, you know, that's how it is. Okay, so that was great. Okay, thank you so much. So let me try that again. Now this time I got the hyphen fixed and see if. Okay, so let me try it one more time. Oh my goodness, that was so awesome. Okay, so message, and it's gonna alert me. This is the semicolon. Let's see if this is gonna work. Okay, so it's still giving me. Oh, okay, I had a. All right, so typo is killing me. Message. Okay, so this is gonna be often the part where you will be spending a lot of time debugging because you did something wrong and you are not sure. So function is okay, pop, message, alert message. Let's try that. Okay, so I succeeded. So like it was just a typo, but you know, it's hard to catch. So once I have the function, I say pop, and then I have to put the message in there, right? What a great day. So that would be the message, the input that goes into the function, which I'm calling it right now, and I'll call it. Ta-da! What does it say? You see the alert box, it says, what a great day, right? So this is what the console does. Isn't that exciting? So this is what function does. Basically, you give a certain input, and then you expect a certain output, right? So let me go back to my slides. So hopefully this will give you some idea of what a function is. And hopefully you have an idea of how to create a function. So here's another simple example that I put it on the slide, function by function, and it takes two parameters, x and y. And all it does is just add them together, right? And then return x plus y, and then close the function. And when you call it, you will call my function, and then put the parentheses, and inside you will put two numbers, whatever that is, 2, comma 5, 10, comma 20, and then run it by putting the semicolon and hitting the enter or hitting the run key, and then you will get the sum of it. So that's how the function works. Does it make sense so far? I hope everyone is typing something and getting something back because I can't see you guys. But this is how function works. So far, if everything okay, or do you guys need a couple minutes, and then we'll move on to the next part.
Looks like people are okay with you moving on, Boyan.
Okay. All right. So we have seen the alert, which I have demoed it for you, and you guys caught even my typo. So SharpEyes, very good. So more information about functions. If you want to learn more about how it works, you want to have more hands-on exercises, this is where you can find it. Now we are going to move on to arrays. So remember, we have covered the data type named array, right? So at the time I explained it to you that you can understand the array as a collection of a bunch of items, right? So let's take a look at this. Let me actually make this as a slideshow so that you can see it a little bigger. This variable on top, so now everybody knows that this is a variable called cars, right? And it has 3 elements, SOC, mobile, and BMW, right? Now this is an array that has three elements in it. And I want to get the first element in that array called the cars. You are going to call that by putting the array name cars first, and then you're going to specify the position. Now there is an index for arrays, and that index always begins at 0 instead of 1. So the first position will have 0 as its index number, so you have to put 0. Then you will get sub. If you want the second element, you're going to put 1, and then you will get to Volvo. If you put 2, then you will get the third element, BMW, right? Does that make sense? And then if you have an index number like 5, but this array has only 3 items, then it's going to return to you undefined because it does not exist. Okay, so let's try that first. I'm going to go back to my console. I'm going to clear it up. I'm going to type in bar cars, and if you can follow it, I highly recommend you do this with me at the same time. Stop, Volvo, and BMW. Yay! So I have this array that has 3 items. I want to know the second item in this array. Then what I will do is cars array, and then I'm going to put the index position of 1 because that's going to be the second item in the array. I type 1, and then I get the item Volvo back. Right? So you guys have an idea of what the array is and now how you can get to each different members of the array using this notation, which is a square bracket and then the index position. All right, now I want to introduce a property called the length that belongs to these arrays. So each array has a property called the length, and that just tells you how many items are in there. So in order to use that, what you do is cars, put the variable array name in there, and then type length. Now what does it say? It says 3 items in there. So now you know how many items are in this array, right? That's very convenient. You can save this value into a variable. So let's do that. So I want to declare a variable named length. And then I say its value is going to be the length of the array cars. Right? So now if I check what is the value of the variable named length, it will say 3. Okay? And as I said before, you can also ask the console to spit out the value of the variable length. If you want to do that, you can do it this way, and you will still get 3. Right? So it's the same way. Now, let's try a couple more things with an array. So there are a lot of methods that you can use in order to apply it to array object. What if I want to add a new item into this array? So now, let me clean this up again. I have an array that has 3 items. I want to add another item at the end of the array. How would I do that? You use a method called push. You push a new item into the array that is called cars, and you are going to put mini in there. Ta-da! Now it says there are 4 members instead of 3. If I want to look at what is in there, cars. Now it's a mini in there, right? Or you can type in console log, I want it to show me cars. There you go. You got 4 members in there. What if I want to get rid of 1 item in the array? In that case, you can pop it, and that's the name of the method. And so you put the method name at the end of the array name, and then in the case of pop, you don't have to really put anything in there because you're just getting rid of the last item of array. There you go. Now you remove the mini, so if you want to take a look at cars, there you go, it's gone. So you have 3 items. So that's basically how array works at a very basic level. Let me see if there are more array methods. I'm not going to go over every single thing of this because I want to get to the original example that I have presented with you in the beginning, because I promised you that it will make sense by the end of this webinar. So I want to get to that point. So I'm going to skip some of these, but you can see that there are other ways to manipulate the array. So for example, you can squeeze a new item into the beginning position of the array rather than at the end. So to add a new item at the end, I use the push function, but here I'm actually using shift function, then the mini unshift function, then actually that item will be entered into the beginning. If you want to get rid of something that is in the beginning of the array, you use shift function. And you can add new items, or you can delete items from the array using other methods. You can also join two arrays together to create one array. So in this screenshot, what I am doing is that I created another array called the J cars, Japanese cars. I put Honda and Toyota in there, and then I am now concatenating, so combining two arrays together. Just cars array and then Japanese cars array. Now I put them together. The result is Saab, Volvo, BMW, Honda, and Toyota. So I got all the cars in there. You can also run other methods that apply to the array, such as sort or reverse. So I had all cars here, and I can apply sort method or reverse method. So I'm gonna demo this really quick. So I have a cars variable here. Let me clean that up. Cars. Now this is not in the alphabetical order, right? But if I want to sort it so that it will be in alphabetical order, there you go. Now you got the array sorted alphabetically. If you want to reverse it, there you go. You type in cars.reverse, and it got completely reversed. So things like that is very neat, and you can do it if you know what method you need to use. Right? So far so good. Everybody's getting what the array is and how to apply some of the basic methods to the array to be able to manipulate the data stored in there. Now, are we ready to move on to the last bit of the webinar? I hope.
Yeah, I'm seeing yeses.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I can't see any of that, so I'm just checking in. Okay, so here are some more other information that you can take a look at it. I put a screenshot and I put some link on it. And really, really good that we did not run out of time yet, because I assumed that we might run out of the time at this point, but we did not, so we're doing really good and I'm very excited. So we're going to cover for loop really briefly, and then we're going to go back to the snippet script that we actually run in the beginning of the webinar, right? So remember, in the beginning of this webinar, I asked you type this thing that you are looking at right now. I asked that you to type them, and then I asked you to run it on the web console, and I wanted to see the result on your web browser, right? So we have done all of that, and we got the output that says do, re, mi, fa, and I said, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out what it means later. So now that we have covered some of the basics of coding, now this should make way more sense to you now than before, at least I hope. Okay, so now let's take a look at it again. In the beginning of the webinar, it might not have made sense to you, but now you know when you see something like bar A, it means that in JavaScript it's declaring a new variable named A, and it has square brackets around. So what data type is this variable? It's an array, right? And how many items are in there? It has 4 items, right? And each item is do, re, mi, fa, so you know that. Now, how do I know how many items are in this array? You can do that by running the length, checking the length property of this array object, right? So in order to do that, you will do it in the console. You will type a.length, right? Just as you see here. And once you do that, it will give you the value, which you know will be 4. because there are 4 items. So that will be the value of len. So I'm going to do that right here, just one more time to refresh our memory. Okay, so I'm gonna declare variable a, and then I'm gonna put these elements to re, mi, fa, right? Okay, now I got, okay, what did I do wrong? Can anybody tell what I did wrong and why I got the error again? This should be easy to spot. I can tell why.
Yeah, people are seeing it should have been a comma instead of a period.
Yeah, no, right? Yeah, so it's like totally but that's what's gonna happen. Sometimes when you type in, you don't get it right, and you get the syntax error, and this is really good so that you have a web console. It will tell you immediately you made a mistake. If you're just writing on the text editor, you wouldn't know what you did, and then it would not run. So now I got a variable a, and like I said, I want to know how many items are in this array. Then I can run a.length, the property of the array. You get the idea that it's 4. Now I am going to loop this array through for each item and find out what is in there. So this might sound idiotic because you can see what's inside the array, how many there are, and what are the items. But imagine that you have an index of a full document that is like a dictionary or something, and it's all array. So imagine that the entire book, the entire text of a book is a variable and is an array. And each word in the book is an item of this humongous array, right? Then the array will have an item of, say, 100,000. You have no idea how many exactly you have, right? And then you want to know what is the 100th word in the book, right? So if you imagine scenarios like this, which is not unrealistic, you can appreciate why we need this kind of method to find out how long the array is and what is the item at the position of, 10 in the array. So that's what we are actually doing. So we were, in that example code, we created the second variable named len, and we assigned the value of the array's length, right? And the value will be 4. What did I do wrong? Okay, yeah, there was typo again. So var len a.length, I had to put th, and I did not put t in there, so I had an error. So now if I say len, it will give me 4. Okay, so that's great. And now what I want to do is I want to actually loop through it. So for example, if you have a humongous array which has lots of words in it, and you want to see from the first word to the end of the word, and you want to see all of them typed one by one in different lines, this is what you're going to do. So for, and I'm going to declare a variable 0, and I'm going to separate it by semicolon, and I'm going to say this I is going to be less than length, and I'm going to explain this in a little bit. And I'm going to say it's going to type out a.i. Now, this part should make sense to you, right? So you will remember that in order to access each member of the array, you will specify the array name, which is A in this case, and then you will put the number, which is the position of the array. And I said the position of each member in the array is indexed beginning with 0. So the first item has 0 as the position number, and then the second item will have 1 as the index number. So what I'm asking here in this script is that, okay, I want to create a new variable which is 0, right? And then I say, okay, if it starts at 0, so if you have a for loop, it means that you start with a certain variable that is 0, and then you want that to increment itself one by one. So after each round, so it will run multiple rounds. So it will go through the array first. It will be 0, right? So it will type results like this. So the first result will be at the position A, the item of A array in the position of 0, right? So that's 2, right? And once that is done, for loop keeps going back. Well, after you have done this, if that I, which is 0 at this point, is smaller than the number that is length, so then it's 4, remember? So that was the length. Then you will keep going, right? So 0 is less than 4, so it will keep going. So it says now I'm going to add myself one more. So it's incremented by 1, so if you put plus plus, that means that I will add 1 to itself. So now it's going to add 1 to itself, so now it's going to be 1 instead of 0, right? And then it's going to go back to this console log, and then it's going to say this time I is 1. So it's going to put 1 in there, and then it's going to run this, and the result is going to be red. So that's why you get red. So, and then you continue, right? So next time it's going to be 2. So it's going to go 2, and then you get me, and then it's going to become 3, and then we'll run 2, 3, and then you get the result 5, right? And at this point, it's going to go back again, and now it's going to check if, okay, am I still less than length, variable length, which is 4, right? So 3 is less than length, but then now it goes again, and then it's 4. So if I go there, oh, 4 is not less than 4, right? Which is the value of length. So it's going to stop. It's not going to run anymore. So that's why you get only 2, re, mi, fa, and that stops there, right? If I have, say, 4 variable I equals 0, and I say I is less than, instead of length, which is 4, if I say 3, and I plus plus, and then I, like this, what do you think is going to happen? This time, instead of 4, it's going to stop at 3, which will be the breaking point. So I will actually have 3 items spit out rather than 4. So let's try that. Oops, what did I wrong this time? Part 1, bar is 3, console log. Okay, there you go. So there was a typo again. You need to put the semicolon at the end. Now you have do, re, mi instead of do, re, mi, fa. So this is how the loop works. So we covered the very, very basic of for loop, but as I promised, this is the script that we ran in the beginning of the webinar, and hopefully this makes sense to you. I totally realized that I ran out of almost time, so I am going to actually cut through some of the other materials that I have here for more information about for loop. And if you have more time, which I expect you to have after this webinar, I put more code examples that you might want to look at, some of the tips, and most of all, you want to tinker with the stuff and see what happens, and that's the fastest way for you to learn how to code. So that's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Boolean, for both of these sessions. Obviously, nobody can in a webinar or two teach you all to be coding experts, but we hope that these 2 sessions gave you a little more familiar than you had before the webinar started. I do, for those of you that want to continue learning and delving into coding, you know, I encourage you to go back to these webinars that will be available on the Rails CE archives page later in the week to look at the resources that were given, and maybe play around more with the examples that we had. I also want to plug one more time the 2 workshops we'll be doing in early July. Even if you're not super close, it may be worth a drive to go to these workshops that are going to be free of cost to you being Rails members, because they will be much more of a hands-on experience for you with instructor there who can actually sit with you and walk around and see how you're doing. And of course, with the webinars, we're limited in that. But Boolean, I think you did a great job. And thank you all for your participation. And have a great rest of the week.
All right, thanks everyone.
All right, thank you. Bye now.